guys, it's Nina from VRFocus and I'm joined by...
I'm Michael Bakaleinik. I'm the Business Development Advisor for Fibrum.
So tell me a little bit about who you guys are and what you guys do.
Well, we started off as a manufacturer of mobile VR headsets, and we sort of drifted away into software at some point. And at a moment in time, we realized that the market as it is becoming a little bit unbalanced. There's a lot of hardware out there. Not too many software developers are able to put out the software to sort of match that, and VR is a fledgling market, and it's not a place where you can get very adversarial without tearing the whole thing down. So we arrived at a newer sort of paradigm that we're functioning in today, and that paradigm is just functioning as a platform that's going to be featuring software. So that's our new project, Desirium. We currently have an upwards of 30 applications, standalone applications that are VR games essentially. They're available for most mobile devices. They're out in Apple Store and Google Play. So these are standalone applications that we've been publishing as a developer of VR content. What we are doing today is essentially a Steam service or a Netflix for VR content. So we're developing a platform that's going to be at first populated by our first-party content that's going to be in-engine VR. We're working with a lot of producers of 360-degree videos to have that featured on the platform as well. And we're working with a lot of studios that produce VR content at the moment and to have their content featured on our platform as well. And we're going to be growing the share of third-party content so that at some point we're not preoccupied with populating it with our own output, but rather we're only moderating the platform, making sure that there's constantly content for users to keep coming back to. And with that platform, what we aim to do is to be available on most of the major VR headsets, not just the mobile setups, but even the larger, the standalone devices such as HTC, Oculus, Daydream, so that regardless of the device that you're using, the user always has a reason to keep coming back to their device that they have purchased, as opposed to the current situation in the market where they invest an upward of $100 into a VR setup, and they run out of stuff to do with it very quickly because there's a content drought at the moment. Because a lot of the content is platform specific. If it's mobile VR, most of it's not very good. It's not something you want to keep coming back to. But with Desirium out in the market, you're going to have a plethora of content to keep working with, and it doesn't require a lot of time, a lot of input of time. Not like the high end of games. They're not as sophisticated mechanically. So they're very well suited for the casual user. They don't require any legacy skill to use. The apps that we plan to put out on Desirium are of varied interactivity so that they're accessible to users of varying technical literacy.
So how are you going to monetize all of the content that's on this platform? How are you going to make some money?
We're pretty flexible in terms of that. That's going to depend a lot on our relationships with the specific content providers. So when the platform launches, we're going to be operating on the one hand, we're going to offer a subscription service so you can subscribe to the entirety of the library for some time, so it's 3 months, 6 months, a year. Or you can purchase our in-app currency and simply buy specific applications that you want to be using. Now, that's for our first-party content. For third-party content, what we're going to be doing is that a lot of developers have different ideas about how they want to monetize, what their revenue streams look like. So for some developers, we're going to be offering a revenue-sharing system where they monetize with the same way we do. So they're included into the subscriptions, or you can purchase their apps with in-app currency. Others prefer to keep their applications free but monetize them with ads. We also plan to work with AAA license holders, with different IP holders. We're currently in talks with Sega, with Wargaming, to have their applications. Naturally, they're not interested in us so much as a revenue source, but rather as a marketing vector. So in that case, we would probably be having them foot the bill for the development and then having their content featured on our platform as a marketing vector for them.
There are a lot of, I think, platforms out there that are now trying to, compete with one another for trying to bring users who are coming to virtual reality onto their platform for content. How are you going to compete with them?
Here's the thing. We're not trying to compete in the market, but we're rather trying to synergize with the market in its entirety. So we're not competing with content developers, simultaneously being a content developer, because
platforms, so not content developers.
Oh, you mean content aggregators?
Yeah.
Well, we plan to be featured on every major VR device. So we plan to be present in and bundled with most mobile VR headsets. We're currently in talks with a lot of Chinese manufacturers. That's a very big market for those, for the harnesses that you put in a mobile device in order for you to use it. We have deals on the table with a lot of manufacturers that cover America in order to bundle our cards with prepaid codes with their products that offer a lot of value to their customers. So if, for example, you pick up a headset that's bundled with Fibrum, essentially you get the value of $100 worth of applications with it.
Okay.
With virtually no extra money. Okay, we're trying to reinvigorate it now that it's gone a little bit slow. We're trying to deliver more value to the developers, to the hardware producers, and to the users primarily.
Well, I think it's great that there's more, content coming out there, and that you guys are trying to help do that. What I find quite interesting is the fact that you're working together with a lot of Chinese headset manufacturers. How are you going to work around the idea of copyright and license across sort of different areas of the world?
Well, that depends on the specific content that we're talking about. So there's content that's going to be licensed by us, and it's our intellectual property. And again, we're going to operate through the intellectual property laws that are applicable in a specific area. If it's a licensing agreement, for example, for content that's from a third party, for example, if it's an IP from a larger license, for example, if Sega, like I've mentioned previously, this is something that we're going to have to figure out on a case-to-case basis whether or not they want to be featured on a specific platform. And we're going to be leaving the legal battles on their side for them to fight.
Are you looking to do specific type of content so you can brand yourself in a specific way, or are you just looking for all types of content?
Well, we are sort of focusing, there are two directions we're taking here at the same time. So we want to keep ourselves simple so that we're not intimidating to the casual user, so that he's not overwhelmed by the complexity of the things that he needs to use. And at the same time, we will aim to stay sort of on track with the market standard, sort of keeping with it and helping the market distill it at the same time. So, for example, 6 Degrees of Freedom is the hip new thing in town for VR, but it's barely supported by other devices, and it's not really an industry standard at this moment. So this is why we're keeping most of our content at 3 Degrees of Freedom. So once the market sort of catches up to the new technology, then naturally we're going to be catching up to that. Once a game controller arises that's going to be, the industry standard of virtual reality gaming, then we're going to be putting out more content that's sort of accommodating to that type of controller that is considered to be the industry standard.
So you're going to be adapting, basically?
We're going to be adapting and pushing the market in the direction that we think is best for it to keep. Because if we manage to enter all of the platforms that we plan to, we're going to have enough weight to throw around to do exactly that.
Is there a website that we can go to find out more information?
Yes. If you can always simply input Google Fibrum into any search bar of your own choice, or go to fibrum.net. And it'll take you to all the relevant information. If you simply put us through a search engine, it's going to direct you to all of the apps that are out in the market at the moment. We're launching Desirium before mid-April, so again, if you put that through a search engine, it's going to direct you directly to Desirium. And that's it.
Go. Boom. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. If you're interested in finding out more about virtual reality, head over to VRFocus.com, and I will see you soon.